story begins a few years ago. I decided to use my computer skills to run a small darknet forum, mainly just to share information without censorship. At first I was extremely paranoid about my site getting hacked and having my anonymity being compromised. So I went online and began to research everything that I would need to ensure my own safety. After countless days of scouring blogs, forums, and other material, I decided I was ready now. I didn't have any money, so I couldn't just buy a VPS and host the site offshore or whatever. So I decided to use my old laptop after all. I wasn't planning on running a major website. So after setting the server up, I thought what else I could do is to protect it against every sort of attack, and then I put it online. Everything went great for a couple of months. Donations rolled in as the user base grew larger and larger. After around 5 months, the user base had gotten so big, I had to upgrade and migrate everything to a new PC which I built just to host the forum. And from there, everything seemed perfect. The site was running smoothly and there were no issues with the migration until one day I came home and noticed the PC had frozen. I didn't think much of it, maybe just a software bug caused it, so I rebooted and that's when it was clear to me something was wrong. The PC lit up and beeped a few times and then shut off, so I thought to myself, okay, so it's a hardware issue. After a few hours trying to diagnose the issue, I figured it out, and it turned out the RAM had been corrupted. I took it back to the store since it was under warranty. The customer rep just told me it might have just been a faulty stick. When I got home, I replaced the stick of RAM and had the site back up, and it ran within a few hours. Everything seemed to be perfect again. I apologized to the users for the downtime and everyone seemed to be happy enough. Fast forward a few more months, the forums have been up and running for around a year and a half. Now this is when things started to get really weird. I finished the work on a Friday. It was a gorgeous day in the middle of summer. I came home, had something to eat and sat down in front of my PC and noticed I had a message. Upon opening the message, I realized that somewhere I'd messed up. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not like Assange or anything, so I don't really know why anybody would target me. But the world is a crazy place, so whatever. The message had my details for my name, address, bank details, passwords, private emails, private messages and everything from nearly every single device I owned. I freaked out and immediately took the PC offline, turned my internet off. But little did I know that this guy had done his research. After a couple of hours pacing my room, I received a text message. I know everything about you. The message was sent via some type of SMS service, so there was no way to trace it, and then my phone rang.
Don't talk, just listen. I know everything there is to know about you. All I want is 2 Bitcoin, or things get worse. Send your text with the wallet details.
The phone call ended just as quickly as it started. I opened my laptop and checked my Bitcoin wallet. There was enough left over from the donations just to pay this guy off and hope that'll be the end of it. So as I entered the guy's details and sent the payment, my phone rang again.
Thank you for complying. Unfortunately, someone I know really likes you.
He hung up, and I got panicked. As I tried calling the number back, an automated message began to play.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
A few hours passed and I began to think to myself, Well, maybe the last call was just him having fun. And after a long day, I'd just go to bed. Sometime around 2 a.m., and I was woken up by the sound of banging on my front door. I jumped out of bed and turned all the lights, grabbing a knife from the kitchen. I walked slowly towards the window and looked out. I could see someone standing by a car. When they spotted me, they got in and drove off. I rushed to the door in hopes I might be able to get a license plate, but by the time I had opened it, they'd already turned the corner as I turned. I noticed an envelope on the floor. I picked it up. I went back inside and locked the door, closed the curtains and sat in the kitchen. I placed the envelope on the counter and stared at it for around half an hour, trying to muster up the courage to open it. Did these guys really come to my home? I thought to myself. After the half hour was up, I decided enough. I opened the envelope and pictures fell out onto the counter. They were me sleeping. These guys hadn't only been outside my house, they'd been inside whilst I was sleeping. The images had been edited, and the strange love hearts had been added next to me. So now I was sufficiently freaked out. I didn't go back to sleep, and when the sun broke the darkness, I decided to head to the police station and told them everything. I hadn't broken any laws, so I hoped they would just help me at least. After hours of explaining everything to them, they told me there was nothing they could do. At this point, I had never felt so alone in the world. I was scared of what this guy was planning for me. I didn't have the foggiest idea what I was supposed to do or expect. So I decided to wipe everything on my laptop, PC and phone. I picked up everything I needed and stuffed it all into a bag and decided to leave. I had a couple of friends that I could rely on, so I called up my old buddy, Marcus. We met and had a few beers, and I explained everything to him. He offered me a place to stay, and I hoped that would be the end of it, how wrong I was. A few days later, it happened again. There was a knock at the door first thing in the morning. Me and Marcus both went out to find another envelope on the floor. It was the same thing, pictures of me sleeping, but these were in Marcus's house. I started freaking out again, and Marcus just said, "Okay, well, we need to do something, maybe set a trap or something." So we ran over numerous ideas, everything you could think of from cameras to baiting him. We settled on the idea of staying up during the night and looking him in the room. We filled the bed with pillows, set the cameras and even barred the windows in the room. We hid in the room next door. After a few hours had passed, we heard the lock rattling on the front door. We knew it was game time. We'd left the door just slightly ajar so we could see outside as we went past. The moment he went into the room, we both sprang to action quickly as we could. We closed the door and locked it from outside using a chair and a metal bar. There was only one way he was getting out, and he'd have to destroy the door. We could see the silhouette of him as he paced the room quietly. It was creepy as fuck. We called the police as we kept an eye on him. At last I thought I could finish this and moved on with my life. Just as the police arrived, we noticed the guy took a gun out and placed it to his head. He held a sign on which said, "I love you," and pulled the trigger. The police barged in. Guns drawn told us both to get to the floor. We complied and shouted, "He's in there," pointing at the door. The police removed the makeshift lock and entered the room. They called for an ambulance and put me and Marcus in the back of the police car. I'd been sat in the interview room for a good couple of hours. I guess once they carried out the investigation. When a detective came in and sat down in front of me, opening the folder and placing pictures on the table. "Do you know her?" "Her?" I said, looking at the pictures. No," I replied and was confused. He looked at me and said, "This is the person who's been stalking you." And then he began to tell me they had visited her home and found a shrine with photos of me all over the place, from restaurants to the gym, even shopping. He went on to tell me that she'd been the one that sent the messages, made the phone calls, etc. And they'd also found a diary which had some kind of future plans for me and her. She wanted me to be her husband, and we'd been chatting for around a year and a half from the moment I started the forum. After I explained everything, the detective said I was lucky to be alive. She had actually planned to drug me and kidnap me. She had even made some makeshift lock bad, so I wouldn't be able to escape. To this day, I feel lucky, and I haven't been on the dark web since.